Have you ever wondered if wealth and faith share a deeper connection beyond worldly constructs? This isn't just a philosophical question, but it's at the heart of a compelling theological debate that's been brewing for centuries. We're talking about the gospel of wealth, a provocative concept that suggests financial prosperity might not be just about hard work or good fortune, but could be a sign of divine favor. It's an idea that has sparked countless discussions and even controversies within the realm of theology and beyond. The gospel of wealth didn't just appear out of thin air. It has its roots in the mid-19th century, and it was a radical departure from traditional Christian teachings on wealth and poverty. While the Bible has often been interpreted to advocate for humility and modesty, the gospel of wealth turned this on its head. Instead of viewing wealth as a potential obstacle to spiritual growth, it proposed that financial prosperity could be a reflection of one's faith. This ideology found its champions among certain religious leaders, particularly in the United States. These proponents suggested that wealth wasn't just a measure of one's worldly success, but also a reflection of their spiritual standing. They argued that by sowing seeds of faith, one could reap financial blessings in return. The gospel of wealth didn't just challenge theological norms, it also had profound socio-cultural implications. It led to a shift in how people viewed their faith and their financial status, intertwining the two in a way that was previously unimaginable. But like any groundbreaking idea, it wasn't without its share of critics. Many theologians argued that this teaching was a misinterpretation of biblical messages about wealth. They raised concerns about the implications for followers who may make financial sacrifices in the hopes of divine rewards. Intrigued? Hold on to that curiosity as we delve deeper into the roots of this fascinating doctrine. Because when it comes to the relationship between wealth and faith, there's a lot more to uncover than meets the eye. The gospel of wealth is more than just a theory. It is a belief system with its own unique tenets. At its heart is the concept of sowing seeds, a metaphorical phrase that equates financial giving with planting seeds in fertile soil. The more you sow, the more you should reap. This belief suggests that financial prosperity is not just a result of hard work or savvy investments, but a divine blessing awarded to those who demonstrate their faith through fiscal generosity. This doctrine has found fertile ground in megachurches and televangelism, where preachers often urge their congregations to sow generously, promising them a hundredfold return on their offerings. It's a compelling narrative, offering a seemingly tangible way to measure faith and divine favor. It also allows for a unique blend of spirituality and economics where faith and finance are intertwined in a divine dance of give and take. But like any belief system, the gospel of wealth is not without its critics. Theologians have always been the gatekeepers of religious interpretation, and the gospel of wealth has stirred quite a debate. The prosperity gospel, with its focus on wealth as a divine blessing, has been met with substantial backlash from traditional theologians. They argue that it's a misinterpretation of biblical teachings on wealth and poverty. Theologians point to passages in the Bible that warn about the spiritual dangers of wealth, such as the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, or the famous admonition that it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. These teachings, they argue, caution against the accumulation of wealth and the neglect of the poor, not the pursuit of prosperity. Critics also argue that the prosperity gospel places undue burden on believers. It's a doctrine that tells followers to sow seeds of their wealth in the hope of divine rewards. But what happens when those rewards don't materialize? It leaves believers questioning their faith, their worthiness, and sometimes their sanity. For the vulnerable and desperate, the prosperity gospel can become a cycle of hope and disappointment, driven by the false promise of guaranteed wealth. The socio-cultural implications of this doctrine are profound. The prosperity gospel promotes a view of success and failure that is deeply individualistic, attributing wealth or lack thereof to personal faith and effort. This worldview neglects systemic issues of poverty and inequality, suggesting that those who are poor simply haven't prayed hard enough or given enough. It's a message that, at its core, is contrary to many traditional Christian teachings about compassion, charity, and communal responsibility. The prosperity gospel has also been criticized for its role in consumer culture. with critics arguing that it commodifies faith, turning it into a transaction where blessings can be bought and sold. This, they argue, undermines the central Christian message of grace, the idea that God's love is freely given, not earned or bought. So where does this leave us in the grand scheme of faith and wealth? The gospel of wealth, with all its implications, leaves us with more questions than answers. It's a doctrine that has its roots firmly planted in the fertile soil of American religious history. Its proponents, many of whom are prominent figures within the world of mega-churches and televangelism, advocate for the belief that financial prosperity is a divine blessing, a tangible sign of God's favor. This view diverges significantly from traditional Christian teachings on wealth and poverty, which often emphasized humility, charity, and the dangers of materialism. At the heart of the gospel of wealth is the concept of sowing seeds for financial blessings. This metaphorical act of faith, of investing in the promise of divine prosperity, is often linked with fiscal prosperity, but it's not without its critics. Theologians and scholars have questioned this interpretation, arguing that it misrepresents biblical messages about wealth and may lead believers to make financial sacrifices in the hopes of divine rewards. This theological debate raises a broader, more complex question. How does personal faith intertwine with socio-economic status? It's a question that invites us to critically assess the motivations and interpretations behind such doctrines. Are these teachings a reflection of divine truth or a distortion of religious texts to fit a particular socioeconomic context? Are they a tool for empowerment or a means of exploitation? The gospel of wealth is not just a religious ideology, it's a mirror held up to our society, reflecting our values, our fears, and our hopes. It's a testament to the complexity of human belief systems, to the intricate dance between the material and the spiritual, the tangible and the intangible. The gospel of wealth is a paradox, one that continues to spark debate and stir controversy. It's a paradox that challenges us to reflect on our own beliefs about wealth, faith, and the nature of divine favor. In the end, the relationship between wealth and faith remains a paradox, a testament to the complexity of human belief systems.